In this video, I'm going to show you how to powder coat paint lead jig heads using this ProTech powder coat from Do It Molds. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. This is another video in our beginner bait making series right here on the Fishin' with Gramps YouTube channel. Yep, that's right. I've partnered up with Do It Molds. In my 40-some years of bass fishing, I've always just bought whatever baits I wanted. Never gave it much thought about making my own. Until now. Last time we poured and cleaned up these lead jig heads, and now it's time to put a good quality coat of paint on them, getting them ready for fishing. I've never done this before, so any mistakes I make, you're going to see, and we're going to learn how to correct them along the way. But I've read the instructions. They seem pretty simple. So let's get to it. So the process should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to take a piece of shrink wrap and put it on the eye of each hook, heat it up with the heat gun to cover the eye of the hook. Then I'm going to heat the lead of each jig, holding it with my vice grips. Then we're going to dip it in the paint. I'm going to stir it up real good and shake it up. And I'm going to stir it between each different jig head just to keep it loose and fluffy. Then each jig head I'm just going to take and place up here temporarily. You see, I just got a quick grip clamp to my shelf. And then when we get all of the jigs dipped, we're going to preheat our little toaster oven, cook them on 350 for 20 minutes, and that should do it. So let's get started. Alright, something else I'm going to show you, because like I said, I'm sharing every mistake I make. So my little quick clamp thing works like a champ. Problem is it's unlevel, so when I drop another one of these hooks on this side, it slides down. Well, when this one met this one and they weren't cured yet, I messed up the paint a little bit. So I got these little bitty hair clips that I use for tying skirts that I put so that I can create space between each one so they don't bang into each other. Alright, so let's get back to painting. Alright, I've turned the dial to about the guesstimated 350 mark. This one's 300, this is 450, so right in there somewhere. Turned it to stay on, and we will let it preheat. Shrink wrap keep off nice and clean. That'll work. Hang that one back up.
Twenty minutes later.
So I love this magic crawl. It's a cross between the blue and a green. So I notice on this one there's a little hump where the paint dried or kind of like dripped to the front, and then when I baked it, it hardened that way, which is okay for this one, but I think I am going to fashion a way to hang these from my oven rack, hook eye up so that any excess drips down. So I'm going to grab some more and try again. Alright, so as I suspected, hanging them hook point up on the rack actually works better. Now I kind of had to fashion some hangers out of some old snaps, but I think something like a small paperclip hanger, just something hanging on the rack and then hanging on the hook eye. So just so I can hang them on the racks that way, and then any excess paint will run down the area, which you don't care is really if it's painted or not, or over painted. But as you can see, it baked that new Bama Craw color on really nice. That's going to look good, and I really like this magic crawl. It's kind of like that paint they used to use on Jeff Gordon's car that changes colors. This goes from green to blue, which, man, I've got some perfect skirts for when I go to hand tie these. So there we have it. We dipped and baked several jigs, a few in that gorgeous Magic Crawl, and then the new one, a Bama Crawl, which is a new color from Do It Molds. So fairly simple, learn some lessons, but again, this is a very beginner's basic how-to in this series. And yep, I'm a beginner, but I'm learning as I go. But I'm telling you, after I get done with this series and I start to actually make a lot of jigs, I got a lot of different colors and a lot of different jig skirts I plan on making up a bunch of these jigs with. I love throwing a jig. In the next video, we're going to hand tie the jig skirts 2 different ways. Hand tied using jig thread and hand tied using wire. We're going to go through both methods. Both are very common when it comes to hand tying skirts, which I prefer instead of the little rubber bands that come on them because they rot over time and fall off. Again, thank you Do It Molds for partnering up with me to go through this little adventure as I learn from guys like that guy Skimpy, Debo's Fishing, Benjamin Nowak, Jig Squad, and many others. It's been a blast. If you want to see the video on how to pour these lead jig heads, you can watch that right here. If you need to clean some lead before you do that, I got a video on how to do that right here. Until next time, get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.